So with the 2021 NBA draft now passing us by, it's time to start talking about some of these rookies and predicting how they'll fare in the NBA. As we see every single year, NBA players getting drafted into the league never fails to surprise us, whether that be in a good or bad way. There's always a mixed bag and none of us can really know exactly what to expect from these guys. So the best thing we can do is project. With that being said, as you can tell by the title and thumbnail, I want to talk about former 5-star Greg Brown and how I believe he will project into the NBA. But before we start, make sure you like and comment on this video and let me know what you think. Show some support. We're back on the grind on this channel. Get ready for a bunch of content this month and for the rest of the year for that matter. But with that being said, let's get into this video. Now, what happened to Greg Brown? Why did a 5-star talent that was a projected lottery pick just a year ago fall to the second round? Coming into college, he was seen as a human highlight reel, a skywalker, an electrifying player that had the potential to be an amazing all-around player down the line. With offers from Kentucky, Memphis, Auburn, and North Carolina, Brown decided to stay home and go to Texas to play college ball and continue the tradition of high-profile, long, athletic frontcourt players that Texas seems to get every single year. Guys like Jared Allen, Miles Turner, Jackson Hayes, Mo Bamba, and the list goes on and on. At his lone year at Texas, the best way to describe it was underwhelming. He averaged a little over 9 points per game to go along with 6.2 rebounds on 42% shooting from the field and 33% from 3. Not the worst numbers in the world, but definitely not 5-star material. You might ask, what happened to him over the course of the year at Texas? Now, I will say that the college team that these prospects are on are affecting how these guys play, therefore also affecting their perception and draft stock. Yes, these kids do pick whichever school they want to go to, but we also have to realize that it does play a huge role. Now with that being said, Texas had a very loaded, deep, and talented team that already had established roles with each other. Every member of the team was there the previous season except for Greg Brown. So trying to incorporate a 5-star into a system was a tricky thing to figure out. Combine that with the fact that Shaka Smart was the head coach. Now I love Shaka and what he did for my Longhorns, especially for this past season winning the Big 12 tournament, but we never accused him of being an elite level developer of talent. I think all those things played a role in Greg Brown not being as successful as he was projected to be coming out of high school. On the flip side of things, there were many holes that I found in his game that he has to work on. In college, the high-flying athletic ability was negated to some degree due to guys being just as big and athletic as he is. He didn't have a skillful game that he could fall back on, and that was the biggest problem. So I'm going to talk about some of his strengths and weaknesses and how he can improve to be a productive NBA player. Since we're already talking about why he struggled, let's start off with some of the weaknesses. He's a very raw player when it comes to actual skills with the ball, like I mentioned earlier. Of course, there are flashes of potential here and there, but he's way too inconsistent in that department. Oddly enough, he is indeed a right-handed player, but tends to drive left at least 90% of the time. And in the other 10% when he actually goes right, expect him to come back to his left hand and continue his drive. That makes for a very predictable player, and once defenses quickly figure that out and adjust accordingly, Brown can't counter off of that, so there were many possessions that led to him getting stripped, traveling, or committing offensive fouls. His handle is definitely something he'll need to work on if he expects to see himself playing around the perimeter in the NBA. I think he would be better suited on the perimeter due to his potential as a ball handler at his size and due to his slender frame that wouldn't hold up against NBA frontcourt players. Along with his super dominant left hand, he predetermines what he's about to do with the ball regardless of what the defense is doing. He doesn't take what the defense gives him at all, and that makes a huge difference when it comes to getting easier buckets. He also isn't much of a playmaker. Scratch that. He isn't a playmaker at all. In 26 games, he only recorded 10 total assists. To be fair, the Longhorns had plenty of very good guards that took the ball handling duties, but Brown's lack of passing is something that can be talked about. On the defensive end, yes, he is long and athletic, but he tends to be very undisciplined at times, especially while guarding on the perimeter. He jumps too often on pump fakes, he reaches in too much, at times has reckless closeouts, and he has trouble with body control and positioning at times. I think the game moves too fast for him sometimes on both sides of the ball. So slowing the game down and improving his basketball IQ will go a long way for him honing in his skills. he'll eventually get stronger and fill out his frame, so he won't be out of position as much and won't get pushed around by guys around the basket. Now onto some positives. This guy's an athletic freak, as y'all can already tell, and that will bode well for him coming into the NBA immediately. Defensively, he has so much potential at the rim as well as on the perimeter. His athleticism allows for him to be a rim protector, and at times at Texas he seemed like he could be a lockdown perimeter defender. Earlier on in the year, it seemed as if he was blocking every single shot at the rim. However, as the season went along, we saw a display of great defensive play along the perimeter, as he was more disciplined, not jumping at pump fakes as much, and not reaching in as much. He was staying in front of guards with ease, and at times, it was honestly very exciting to see. In the NBA, his length will be bothersome as long as he knows how to position himself in the right way. He got better and better at rotating on defense, as well as communicating, which freshmen always struggle with. But I will say the rest of GB's game will open up as long as he focuses on the defensive end first. I definitely see a pathway for his game to model someone of a similar build and a similar ability, and that guy I'm thinking about is Jonathan Isaac. Now, Isaac is an elite defensive player already, no doubt, but there's no reason to think that Greg Brown can't get to that level eventually. I think Brown is around the same level as Isaac offensively at this point in their careers, so I feel like trying to model his game after Isaac's a touch could do him wonders. Offensively, he's a guy that's great in the open court. He runs the floor fast and hard, he fills lanes nicely, and catches alley-oops all day long. In the fast-paced NBA, he can make a specialty out of that. Look at Derrick Jones Jr. With him being so athletic, he tends to draw a good amount of fouls simply because at times, college defenders had no choice because they couldn't keep up with him athletically. Along with that supreme athletic ability, he shot 33% from 3 on 3.5 attempts per game, which is nothing special, but there is promise there. Whether he was making or missing shots, one thing I always noticed with Brown is that he always shot the ball with conviction and his confidence never seemed shook. That's a very good sign of a potentially good shooter. His release is not bad at all, but if he were to make his form more fluid with less of a hitch, I think he could be a very solid 3-point shooter. Greg Brown throughout the season showed flashes of his off the dribble game, as you saw him create more and more jumpers and step backs later in the season compared to earlier on. I also have to mention that GB is a very damn good cutter to the basket, and I didn't really realize that until I went back to watch film. Sometimes his timing on his cuts are a little weird and off, but for the most part he knows the exact angle and time to cut at. And him being a guy that would be off the ball due to his limited offensive game and shaky 3-point jumper, cutting to the basket definitely fills that hole to some degree. Once Greg Brown is in the gym with NBA trainers 24/7, I do expect him to be a more polished and mature player as time goes on. He seems like he's a very great guy from the outside looking in. He wears his emotions on his sleeve, so you can tell he's very passionate about the game. Late his freshman year, he was benched due to lack of production, and he had a mini meltdown on the bench, and many people might have taken that as a negative, but I didn't. No matter what, as a competitor, you want to play and make an impact, and it hurts when you don't get that opportunity. With that being said, I can't wait to see what the Portland Trailblazers decide to do with Greg Brown and see how his career plays out. Obviously, I didn't expect him to be a second-round pick a year ago, but hey, he's doing better than many 5-stars have in the past, believe me. But if you like this video, give it a like, comment down below what you think of Greg Brown's game, what do you think his comparison is coming into the NBA, what do you project him as a player 5-10 years from now, and all those good things, man. But this is Jimmy from Just the Facts, and I'm signing out. Peace.